everybody. Welcome to another Saturday night. I'm Peter Driver. I'm here in Pescari Fly, and for the next couple of hours, I'm going to try and entertain you a little bit, have a bit of crack, and do a bit of fly tying as well. Hope you're all keeping well. Hi to everyone. Neil Hamilton's on there, Declan Smith, Graham Lanigan, Patrick Smith is there, John McCall is there, Dave Donovan. See, Dave has a trivia question for us tonight there. Graham Lanigan, I think tonight could be your night, Graham. Stay tuned for that one later, folks. What a night we have for you tonight. It's streamer night, river streamer night. Now, a lot of people looking forward to this, myself included. It's been a very educational week, to say the least. But hope everyone's keeping well. Ray McCabe is on there. Howard Croston's on there. Hope you're keeping well. Howard Eugene Fagan is on there. Lots of great to see so many people back on. Some new faces there. Hi, Ray O'Toole, Graham Connolly, Christoph is there. Good evening to everybody. Hope you've all had a good week. Aidan Gill as well. Another dirty old night here in Kilkenny. Dalty O'Donnell up there from Dunlow. How you doing, Dalty? Dylan Roberts, good to see you back. Another dirty old week. Chaps are gone to bed. It's Saturday night. I've got a Bacardi and Coke here sitting beside me, and we're up in the fly time room, and we're going to just relax and have a bit of fun for the next couple of hours. So say tonight is streamer night. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to our good friend of ours there, Jimmy Gibson. Jimmy, I heard last week that you were in hospital. I see you put a message up there that you're back with us tonight. Delighted to have you back with us, Jimmy, and I hope you're keeping well, and I hope the recovery is going well as well. Good man, and sure, look, get a bit of fishing in this year, and please God, you'll be right as rain soon. So great to see you back, Jimmy, and hope you're well. So what a lineup we have for you tonight, boys and girls. It's, I say, streamer night, river streamer night. Very interesting topic. Probably very much neglected for some people. Neglected area of fly fishing and rivers, me included into that, by the way. Wouldn't confess to be an absolute complete, what would I say, expert in any sense or form at river streamers. Do it when I have to. Not because I'm overly confident in it, but do when I have to get a couple of fish at the end of a session or something like that. But definitely something that's on the cards that is going to get an awful lot of work this year. And if you have any aspirations of doing any streamer fishing this year, well, then tonight's going to be a night that you're going to really enjoy. So tonight I got a couple of my patterns that have worked for me over the couple of years. I know we've tied some already. Now I'm not going back on those ones over a couple of shows. We've did some jig streamers and a few other streamers like that. A couple of other ones I've managed to squeeze out of my brain in the last week, and we're going to be doing those throughout the night for you. We have a definite expert on with us tonight, guys and girls. Keith McDonald from Dublin is here with us. Keith's an app guy, qualified casting instructor, streamer fanatic since around 2003 when he went to America first and learned that how effective streamers can be. Brought it home, that information, and has worked on it ever since. And you know, if I was to recommend anyone in the country that I would say would be an expert at streamer fishing, well then Keith would definitely be that person. Fantastic guy, absolute brilliant from come on, share his information with us tonight. So Keith's on with us for Tackle Talk to make sure you're set up right for your streamers. And very interesting conversation I had with Keith last night on live and recorded that for you. So that's for Tackle Talk. Also, Keith agreed, because he ties some absolutely amazing stuff. All you guys that are friends with him there on Facebook can see some of Keith's tie-ins that are magnificent. So he's doing an articulated streamer for us in a little bit as well as our guest tire. And we've got our usual trivia quiz coming up there. But Dave Donovan is on there, seen him on a while ago, and Dave is going to be shooting out a question there for you all to get an answer. We got a nice little spot prize for you there. As usual, all the flies we tie tonight will be given away tomorrow. And that's it, folks. Sit back, relax, enjoy. It's Saturday night here with Pescari Fly, and hope you're all keeping well. If you're on the stream there, folks, hit the share button. Let's get a bit of a crowd going, a bit of fun here. Don't be afraid to make a comment, say hello. If you've got any input, if you've got any questions, shoot them up there in the comment section. I'll do my best to get to them. If not, there's a good few people on here that have plenty of streamer experience, and they'll hopefully help you out with some of your questions. But if not, I'll get to them. If I can't get to them tonight, I'll try to get to them during the week. But do hit the share button, say hello, and say hi to Neil Walker, Jerry Morgan, Desmond Paul. Desi Paul is on there. Was a great tip there on that stuff, Desi Paul. Jason Foran is on there. Great to see so many people back on with us here every week. We're pushing into the end of February. Hope everyone had a good Valentine's Day last Sunday, I think, wasn't it? Last Sunday. Bought plenty of flowers and stuff for wives, and gathers up yourself a few browns. It's been a bit of a stutter since we talked last. How you doing, Mark? It's been a bit of stutter kind of the start of the trout season. I know on the 15th, which was Monday, the trout season opened up in some of the north of the country, north kind of east of the country, and the south of the country. Some rivers. There was some guys out fishing there. I seen Dave Donovan had a trout there at one stage. I think you got one, Dave. Did you? David Coughlin was out there. I think he got one too. But now it's all in flood. Massive floods everywhere. So everyone's getting a good wash out. So may all just be a little bit more patient in those areas and wait, and the rest of us will catch up on Paddy's Day. But we're getting close now, folks. We're getting close. So it's a good time to be doing a streamer night. Very good and very effective on the start of the season for searching out those fish. And definitely something that I will be doing an awful lot more work on this year going forward. So say have a couple of patterns here that I want to share, which is quite simple patterns, and we can Robbie, good man, Robbie. Hi, Jonathan Douglas, good to have you on. So a little bit. So what I've got in the vise here is a streamer size 8, a Haku streamer size 8 hook, and I've got a 3.5 mil tungsten hot orange bead on there. This is a simple woolly bugger kind of style pattern. Now, when I'm fishing streamers, as I said, I've learned an awful lot in this week about streamers. How you know, Marty Allen? I've learned an awful lot this week about streamers. I felt I had a fair decent knowledge of streamers, and I probably have it, enough to get me by. As I say, I use them when I have to, not because I'm not over effective on them, but when I have to, I kind of use them. So at the end of my session, or if I'm struggling for a fish, or there's a large deep pool in my session, or the bead I'm fishing, and I'm not able to nymph it effectively, trout her down deep. Well, then what I will do is I'll put on a streamer and strip it through it. I'll get a couple of fish on it. And I've always got fish on my streamers. I do catch fish on them quite regularly. It's just something I haven't done enough real work on. But I've learned a lot this week about streamer fishing thanks to Keith McDonald. And I hope you guys are all going to learn a lot off him tonight as well. I think as well, he'll be quite surprised with some of the information he's going to share with us. So when I'm targeting fish during a competition on my streamer fishing, I'm not targeting those big fish. Yeah, look at if I hit a big fish, great. But I'm still targeting small fish. So I tend to fish an awful lot smaller and also quite a bit unweighted streamers. So these are a couple of my smaller kind of streamer patterns that I find work. I'm looking in competition, it's 8 inches plus. So I'm always looking for around that £1/2 pound trout that will get me out of a hole sometimes. I know in the European Championships in Poland, I was really struggling. I think the second or third session, this is going back a few years now, when I kind of only really got introduced into streamer fishing out in Poland. And a streamer saved me a blank on one session. So what I've just tied in there is a little bit of black holographic marabou tail. Cut it off there at a bit of an angle for a second. And trap all that in well. So I say normally when I'm fishing streamers, looking for I'm down on a cross similar-ish, my kind of go-to lines would be, intermediates right down to a dive 5. Dive 5 is one of my favourite ones. I'm kind of always fishing a 5 weight. 10-foot 5 weight I find my most effective line. Say I'm using it when I have to, and it is work. It does work. There's something I'm going to use an awful lot more this season, but it's something I haven't done enough work on, Good man, Neil. Well, I tell you, Neil, the right man is on with us tonight to teach you a few things. Anyway, Keith has spent years perfecting, mastering, and trying to understand. As Keith say himself, and I'd say about nymphing and all that kind of stuff, is there ever a time when you can actually honestly say to yourself that you've mastered any particular form of fly fishing? I don't know. I certainly can't, and I've been at Euro nymphing for over 20 years and working quite hard on it. So all I've done in there, by the way, is just added a little bit of copper wire, and I've added a little bit of 12 size 12 unimylar pearl, one strip either side. And just letting that hang out the back for a minute. Okay, bit of claret, seals fur. How you doing, Brian O'Riordan? How's things with you? Scott Freeman, how you doing? Andrew Naylor's on there. Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. Do I ever wet the marabou? Yes, absolutely I do. Not completely, but I'd always moisten it up a little bit. Very little, or moisten the finger and kind of just brush it so it sits nice and clean for me. But I don't wet it completely when I'm tying it in, because I want to see, You know, I find I can make it very small. I mean, then I can tend to add in too much, or it can kind of just give me a false sense of what's there. It's just I do moisten it, stop it from getting in the way in between. So nice chunk of claret seals for onto that. Andrew Naylor there as well from Dundalk guys is on with us tonight. Andrew, I know personally, good friend and a good friend of his family there. But Andrew is also a very accomplished streamer angler up in Dundalk and County Louth there. I know I've seen and heard of a lot of his streamer success stories on some of those rivers. We got a nice big black saddle hackle going here now. And I'll tie that back down the body. Now I tie streamers right down to size, and I'll just get that out of the way. I tie streamers quite small as well, you know, it's not just stuff that are sort of 3-4 inches long. I would also tie them, you know, right down to a normal size 12. So this is size 8 streamer hook. But now take your copper. Just once you widen on the body, take the copper and put 2 turns on it and stick it back into your, tie it back well into your spring. And that gives very good, John O'Riordan. John O'Riordan said he keeps a glass of water for wetting the marble. Just tie it back into your, just 2 laps. It holds the hackle in place. Tie it back into the, put it back into your spring and holds it out of the way. Now I'm going to take my strips of pearl and I'm going to pull them up either side of the hackle. I want that pearl to be out on the outside. I want it to be exposed as much as possible. Copper wire will hold the hackle out of the way. And I make sure I get those 2 nice big clumps of pearl going up either side. Couple of turns, as you can see. Take out your copper wire, go back to your copper wire now, put the tension back on it. You can unwind that 1 turn, you put on 2, you can unwind 1 if you wish, or you can just continue on. And I'm just going to continue on up that. Actually, you know what I'm going to just do is just trim those back a little bit. I don't cut them back fully just yet, just in case if I need a little bit of something goes wrong or something slips out of me. So making my way up down through that hackle. And what effect this gives you is kind of a very slim, narrow profile to this fly, like almost a mohawk and a beard on that streamer. I'm up far enough now so I can just trim them back in. And tie off your copper wire. Of course, you know, one of the more important, absolutely, Paul. Yeah, Paul is just Ray McCabe there was just informing us a bit about Andrew Naylor there. That he's very good and he's a great man for fishing, but he was a bit useless on the rugby pitch. Good man, Ray. So now I can trim off that little bit of waste there, and we give our hacker just a nice little brush back. So I say what you got now is you got a nice slim profile of that fly, of where you can see it now. The hackle is not really coming out to the sides, it's just on the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to add in a few black flexi rubber legs, and this is basically just flexi floss. Just to add an extra bit of movement. I was just about to say there before I spotted Ray's comment there about Andrew. You know, we add in, you know, movement is everything. You know, you got to have movement in your streamer. So adding in legs, using marabou, using, as you know, some of the other streamers we had done in the past there, we had using hair and stuff like that. And I was explaining to you that, you know, sometimes I find for the smaller streamers, I find hair to be a little bit more, you know, have a bit more sensitivity towards movement than marabou sometimes. So I would tend to, I can put that on some of my smaller streamers. So I'm just spraying those out a bit there, getting them spread around that fly a bit, and just create that extra little bit of movement. And she's waking her way up through water. I'm going to put in a collar hackle there now. So what that you can see that pearl is just more predominant or predominant there as it comes out. Where if we put the pearl on under the hackle and ribbed over it, you only get a little glimmer. I want that pearl strip to be as distinctive as possible for the fish. When I'm stripping this back up the river, it's quite fast. Or I'm stripping it across the river, I'm stripping it quite fast. We're only giving the fish a moment to look at it. And then he's either going to attack it or he's not. And that bit of a flash of pearl that's very distinctive sticking out of that fly will sometimes just help him to make the choice of attacking it. Just tying in a large broad hen there now. Couple of nice turns in behind that bead. Camera's still way too close. We're not getting full shot of that. Whip finished out the back. And trim away her. Let's make sure all the hackle's nicely placed now and everything. And there you have it. That's my black woolly bugger streamer pattern. I found it to be quite effective over the last number of seasons. I've got plenty of fish. I can't say how effective it's been, because I fish it. I probably streamer fish maybe 10, 15 times a season. Nowhere near enough of what I should be doing. So it's something I'm definitely going to increase this year. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks, Robbie. So line-wise, what I'm using for that, Dominic, is either a fast glass in low, fast water, or if I'm getting into those deeper pockets, I'm on a dive 5. And I'd often put the rod tip under the water to get the level of my streamer if I'm fishing it when I'm fishing it downstream. That's the way I fish it. Again, as I say, I'm looking for competition sized fish. Looking for competition sized fish, and it can be that bit of black kind of didn't sit directly underneath, but that's not too bad. It's a little bit to the side. But competition sized fish, and I say it's always been my last go-to. It's kind of when I've gone through it with Ken, I have tried in still waters, and it does work there as well. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Patrick. Another one for the box, Jean-Luc. You're going to have some boxes of flies. Good man, Chris. I'm glad. Well, I tell you what, lads, I've never stopped learning all these Saturday nights. I think this is our 17th show in a row at this stage. I think the wife was reminding me. She reminds me every week how many weeks we've been going. Every Saturday night. 17 weeks in a row. But I've learned so much over these 17 weeks. It's been phenomenal. It's been fantastic. It's given me a real kick. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are all learning something too along the way. I'm sure there's plenty out there that could teach me a thing or two. But sure, we'll get you all on here at some stage to educate us all in your own specialty areas. But there we go, folks. That's the first one for tonight, to get your appetite whetted for river streamer night tonight. Now, without further ado, I'm actually not going to normally tie 2, and then I'd introduce some of our guests and stuff like that. But I think it's very important, for us to understand when we're tying and stuff like that we have a good understanding of how to fish them properly. What kind of gear we're using. What's the key concepts, the key hot tips, Thanks, Stuart. Good man. I might just have one in a few minutes when you're all watching. The one and only Keith McDonald. Keith McDonald, gave him a shout there last night, folks, and he was very kind to come on and have a good long conversation with me. Managed to record it, and we were talking tackle last night. So enjoy this. Make sure you just have a pen and paper beside you, write it down. And Keith will go through his lovely setups of how to go streamer fishing. So enjoy this, and I'll see you all in a few minutes. How you doing, folks? And welcome to another episode of Talk and Tackle. I am joined here tonight by the one and only Keith McDonald. Keith is a renowned streamer fanatic, fishing rivers like the Boyne, the Liffey, other places all up around kind of the East Coast. And needless to say, if anyone has ever checked out Keith's Facebook page or his YouTube channel, they will know he is pretty successful at getting some serious fish on streamers. So, Keith, welcome to the show for starters, and thanks a million for being here tonight and giving us a bit of a rundown of what's kind of, is your approach to streamer fishing and talk and tackle in relation to streamer. So, what's if a guy was going streamer fishing, what's the ideal conditions, or is there ideal conditions for streamer fishing, Keith, or is it something that kind of you just adjust it on any given day?
Yeah, no, Harry, thanks for having me. Much appreciated, Peter. And I'm always happy to talk about streamers. Absolutely love it. Streamer fishing, yeah, there's ideal conditions. A dropping flood combined with, the right barometric pressure, or, a filthy, dirty, windy, wet day, they tend to be the days. You couldn't set your watch by it, but that tends to be the things that get me going and get me wanting to go fishing. You can adjust accordingly for conditions. There are times in low, clear water where you can do the job. But
okay, so we'll work in low water. Yeah,
you scale things down accordingly.
Right.
And it also depends on water speed and conditions. You move to faster water and lower water conditions. And
right. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of it is they're quite big flies, and you want to just allow the fish to have a quick look at the fly, and either just to react to it.
Yes. Okay. To tackle it. When you're putting out those big flies, what kind of optimal rod length are you using there, Keith, most of the time?
Yeah, a 10-foot rod. 10 foot seems to be so common for everybody these days.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely for streamer fishing. And the reason being is that the flies are big, they're in the 3 to 5 inch range that I'm throwing most of the time. So you want to be able to keep them up when you're casting, keep them up away from vegetation.
And what sort of line rating have you got on that rod? Or what sort of rating is the rod you use?
Most of the time I fish a 7. I know that sounds heavy for river fishing, but it is just to be comfortable casting those flies now.
Those big heavy flies, because you've got weight on those as well, Keith, haven't you? Some of them have weight.
A little bit of weight. They're not silly now. And over the years I've adjusted them so that they're as comfortable as can be. But the weight is essentially just to get them through the surface film quickly and fishing immediately. So it's not to try and dredge the bottom, it's to try and just get it fishing immediately, because you'd be amazed the number of times as soon as the fly hits the water, the fish is
attack. And is there an optimal, or kind of what would I say? I suppose it really depends on the level the fish are on. Is there somewhere where you like that fly swimming on the water level as regards, just off the bottom, mid-rift, or kind of up near the surface? Or is that kind of, again, dependent on a daily circumstances or daily conditions?
Yeah, so most of the time you're going to get it 1 to 2 feet below the surface and no more, because the beauty of this type of fishing, there's so many different facets to streamer fishing, but the one I enjoy most is fishing these big flies and seeing the reaction. It's kind of the American style of streamer fishing with these bigger flies, and you're just getting the fly under the water and you're manipulating it to make it look alive, and hoping to see the fish react to it. As I was saying to you when we had a chat earlier, the coolest thing I saw last season was this big fish just come straight up after the fly. It's really visually exciting. I love my dry fly fishing as well, because you're
I see it on your Facebook page. You get some fantastic results on the dries there as well. Fair play to you. Yeah, we might have a chat about that another day.
These big streamers as well cause the fish to react, and seeing them chase it and bow wave and splash at it is just brilliant too.
And what's your go-to fly line, Keith? I know me personally, I fish a lot of kind of real sinking lines and heavy lines. But what would your go-to kind of line be now for your streamers?
So there's two. One is a clear intermediate. So when the river is not too high, so it's about 2 to 3 inches a second.
Yeah.
That's an old hardy kind of a glass line, but that's a confidence one when the water is clear. it's just a nice line. And the other one is a 6 inches a second sinking line.
All right, so that's a fast sinker. Yeah, yeah. I would be a dive 5, which would be 5 inch seconds. That would be my kind of go-to line. Would be so okay. So you got quite line, and so I've noticed over. I'm not sure if it's something that you do, but I suppose when I've done my little, nowhere near your level of experience now, my little bit of streamer fishing, I was always told that the rod tip controls the depth of the fly in a certain sense, that if you put the rod tip down to the bed of the river, that's where the fly will swim, the line will swim. Is that something that you do in your kind of approach to swimming, or you keep the rod tip out of the water and let the line just
I keep the rod tip out of the water because an awful lot of the time I'm using the rod tip to manipulate the fly. So
I get you. Okay.
Darts into the fly. The rod tip will move much faster than I can move my stripping hand, and it stops. And it creates, what you want is you're moving the fly, and you want to really the deader the stop, the better with that fly.
I get you. Right. Yes.
To my mind, I think it's noise is part of it. So
okay, right.
You have one of these kind of big deer hair head type things.
Yeah.
And you
wow.
Stop dead in the water and just make noise and just try to entice the fish to move to it. So yeah, it's great fun.
So the retrieve makes an awful lot of difference to your success rate then, would you think? Or is it something you really focus on when you're fishing, that you're trying different retrieves and trying different movement of that fly to induce takes?
Yeah, try and mix it up a lot. I suppose I remember you'd hear guys, spin fishermen and Rapala fishermen and all that sort of stuff, and they're constantly trying to change, and different wines and different
to try
tips with the rod tip, and just try and do things like that. That always stood out to me as being something that that makes a difference.
Crucial, yeah. And then when it gets to tippet, what kind of stuff are you using out of that fly line to catch those flies? Obviously, with some of the magnificent fish you've caught. And if anybody hasn't seen any of Keith's famous fish, just after this interview, I've got a little bit of a slideshow there just to give you an idea how successful Keith is. What tippet? You got to be using some pretty strong stuff.
Well, I don't know how successful I am, right? Because you can go a season or two to get one of those really big ones.
Yeah. They're beautiful fish, though.
We haven't got it all figured out. They're amazing fish. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they're really cool. And when you see the guys at the big hook jaw, and they're just
beautiful markings and beautifully proportioned fish.
So much to learn in terms of doing it consistently.
Yes. Because well, that's the best thing about the sport, Keith, isn't it? That no matter how you've been at this big time since 2003. And you're here, 13, 14 years later telling us that, you still haven't got there. I say the same about your nymph, and I've been at it for a long, long time, and still, no matter how much time and effort I put in. But that's the brilliant thing about the sport, is that there is never that end goal. There's always room for development. There's always room for change.
Yeah. If you had it all figured out, you wouldn't bother.
No, yeah. So what sort of diameter tippet would you be always normally heading to?
I never think in terms of diameter. It's quite thick. It'd be somewhere in the 15 to 20 pound bracket tippet, which I know that sounds nuts, but if you spend 40 minutes tying a fly, you don't want to leave it in the trees, and and that's the thing about it.
Exactly, yeah.
In most of the conditions that you'd be fishing in, the fish don't care. They see the fly and they react to it.
And is there any particular, do you like ultra green, clear, smoke gray, dark brown? Is there any particular line color? I'm always conscious of my line colors, the tippet color, should I say?
Yeah, I like fluorocarbon for the abrasion resistance and bit of confidence. But I mean, my pal Kieran O'Kelly, who I do a lot of streamer fishing with, he uses Brown Maxima, and he's happy out with that. It doesn't matter, he'll use a heavy enough Brown Maxima. So I use a butt piece of old tapered leaders.
You would taper it, would you?
took out a reel just because one of the critical things about casting these big flies is to have your leader set up right, because if it's a lot of people will aim for really long leaders. Sorry, I've just realized that I had unplugged my my power cable to the computer. That would have been trouble. So I think a lot of people just put on a big 9-foot or whatever section of leader, 8-pound leader maybe, and put on one of these big flies and try and cast them and give up and say, I'm never doing that again. They're stupid, heavy flies.
Right,
but if you get it set up right, so my dry fly leaders, when I'm done with them, I take the butt piece, right? So that's the tip of my fly line, and that's my.
And are you just attaching that? Are you attaching that fly line straight to the loop, or the leader straight to the loop in the fly line, or you've got something welded in there?
So it's loop to loop there.
Loop to loop,
the fly line. So that's my butt piece of my old dry fly leader, right?
Yeah.
To there. So it's quite thick, and then I've loop to loop to my tippet, which is about. That's 18 pounds fluorocarbon there. There's about 24 inches of it.
Okay.
It doesn't be long.
So what's your overall length of leader there? Is about 9 foot, is it?
No. It's
shorter than that?
4 foot.
Oh, right. So it's quite short, right?
24 thereabouts.
Yeah.
Then a loop knot to the fly, so a Rapala knot to the fly. And that's it. But it's you can see it's quite stout tippet, and it helps with turning over the fly to have a stout tippet. If you've light tippet, is so good. But having that short setup means that you can carry those flies easily.
Okay, I get you.
Your casting technique has to be relatively good. You need to be able to generate the line speed.
But it's an easy enough transfer of energy from the line down to that short distance of a taper, like into the fly to get it to flip over. Like, yeah. And for any guy now that's starting off this season now and is going to do a bit of streamer fishing, if he's looking to, what kind of flies? Now I know you're doing a video for us later on in the show there, one of your top streamer patterns. But what's he looking? What's key components to a fly that he should be tying? Is a move? How important is movement in that material?
Absolutely critical. Everything is about movement. If you look at any of the flies I am a fan of, they've all got marabou and zonker and wing and flashabou, an awful lot of movement in them. Because of what I was saying, you get that dead stop and then you get that flutter. That's I suppose it's like a wounded or dying fish. So after the stop, you want to have a little bit of movement in the stuff. So if somebody is going out starting this season, you got to have the number one thing is confidence, right? So everybody looks at these flies and go, they're stupid big. So start smaller. Start with woolly buggers.
Yes, okay.
Woolly buggers years ago would have looked huge,
absolutely. And woolly bugger style streamers is what I use an awful lot because, as I was saying in our pre-chat there, that I tend to target not so big fish but more competition size fishing when I'm streamer fishing. So they're still quite effective. And I agree totally. The movement is everything. There's a little thing there called the angle of the cast that I know from wet fly fishing is crucially or can be crucially important into relation, as approaching any particular stream of water, be it slow, fast, whatever. When you're approaching a piece of water, Keith, and you're kind of looking at it and saying, how important is the angle of the cast when you're making a cast? Would you cast? Well, I suppose 2-part question. When you're actually making a cast, are you casting sort of down and across like we would wet fly fishing, hit the far bank, covering the complete piece of water, straight downstream, straight across upstream? What kind of?
So rarely downstream. Sometimes there's no choice, but most of the time it's slightly upstream or directly upstream. So I would often say to people directly across stream, but actually it's slightly more upstream than directly across.
And right.
Back this way.
And I'm going to hold my hands up. Say I've never fished streamers upstream. Never. Yeah. Okay, so that's fantastic.
It's casted out. The thing hits the water and you're stripping.
You're yanking back, like
the fly. and upstream as well, directly upstream is often a good one. But I find with the bigger flies, now you can swing a woolly bugger or, you know, whatever.
Yes.
Grade 10, that sort of stuff. But I think as you go up in size, you're not getting that element of surprise when you swing the bigger stuff. You've got to keep it moving and manipulate the fly. So he, as I was saying, it's in his window for a second, and he has to.
And he has a choice to either react or not react, one or the other.
Yeah. Now there are times when you've no choice but to swing downstream and you put some strips in. But you know, if you're stripping from downstream, often the biggest thing in streamer fishing is trying to get the hook up when he takes. That's
actually my next question. Is what is this, like, you know, with hookups upstream? Right? I do an awful lot of upstream nymphing. That's contact nymphing. Obviously, if you're throwing line upstream, just on average, how far are you putting that fly away from you, Keith? How much line are you got coming out of that rod?
I mean, if I'm fishing the boyne, I'm hooking it. You know, the lower boyne where I fish is a big river.
So
you're spending time covering water there a lot of the time. Some of the time you're targeting specific lies, but often you go out for a few hours fishing and you just cover the water in a flood and see what happens.
So what's the success? What's the key tip there to hooking those fish?
Hooking the fish, well, it's a lottery. I'd be interested to hear what your experience is with streamers. Mine is that you get an awful lot of missed hits.
Absolutely.
They hit it, and it's as if they try to stun it and then are going to come back and have a whack at it, that you don't actually set the hook in them. So the thing that does make a difference is to keep the rod down and strip strike, keep stripping and set the hook that way.
Okay, right. And don't lift the rod.
Do you know what can happen? Absolutely do not lift the rod. Even after you think the fish is on, still give him another tug to make sure.
Make sure that hook is well stuck in. Yeah.
The big guys have really hard mouths. You know, their jaws are really solid. So if you've met jaw with the hook, trying to actually get the hook into that is.
And what's your preferred hook? What preferred hook are you tying your streamers on?
There's a couple that I like. I'm using Gamakatsu. I have it in that. I'm going to show you in that tying segment. They're a stinger hook, a very, very sharp hook.
I know the ones. Very good. Yeah.
F314s. The Americans use B10S. It's the same hook, just have different model numbers for whatever. And then the Partridge streamer hook, the Partridge Bomber, and the Partridge Predator. They're all very, very good hooks. Kamazan, they do lovely hooks, but they're a little bit on the small side.
Okay, right. I get
I like a good size gape, a bigger gape than normal for them. And look, it's one of the big difficulties with it is, that you move a lot of fish, a lot more fish than you stick.
Absolutely. And same wet fly fishing, just normal traditional Irish wets down across, you bump an awful lot of fish. But just out of curiosity when you're talking, I'm just really getting a visual now of fishing upstream in an streamy piece of water, hooking into a decent lump of fish with a lot of fly line, strip striking, setting that hook. I suppose the first initial reaction of that fish is probably the bomb downstream. Would that be right? Because he's just been ripped into, like.
Yeah.
He'll head downstream. So you're just going to turn him and let him play and lead him back up, or is it the case, or is it ever the case that you'll try and intercept that run and lift them into their net? No.
Well, I've never managed it yet. I carry a big net. I carry a salmon net on my back.
Right. So okay. You're expecting.
It's not a salmon net, it's a sea trout net, one of those McLean things, and just have a decent sized net. Because I like taking pictures of them as well, so you can keep them in the net and get a nice shot without them. The smaller handheld nets you wouldn't be in with a shed. So it takes me a while to get organized to get that out. But,
I'd say
a lot of them. I mean, when you said that, I'm just thinking about a fast run. So a fast run, he'll head down. But if otherwise, a lot of the bigger guys, they tend to sit under the rod tip. You don't get the row out of them. You think,
Right.
like
Okay.
hook a big fish on the mayfly on the lake and he'd go off like a scalded
Yeah.
cat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The big lads in the river, the streamer, it's as if they've gone, what the hell has happened here?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
they're under the rod tip. So very few actual big rows out of them. One or two now, but
yeah. Still magnificent fish to catch regardless.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I've made a note of here in front of me that I had to ask, and it's something I've not really struggled with, but something I'm kind of conscious at the moment because I'm just reorganizing my fly boxes now for the new season. And, I'm actually going to be between now, so we don't open until March 15th here. So between now and March, I'm going to sit and do a few streamers for myself before the season. I've often struggled with fly boxes for streamers. Foam inserts, different things like that. I've changed them. I've tried everything. I've even used ones with just big holes and I put the streamers into them. And then sure, I open it up and next thing I stumble in the middle of the river or something and there's a whole heap of streamers gone down the river from me.
Yeah.
Have you any great tips there for storing streamers? Are you like me?
Watch this space, Peter. I was telling you I was working on something. So that's one of the things is to get a really good fly box design.
That would be awesome because you know what? I have over the years, Keith, I've probably been doing stream fishing not as long as you, but I've always tried to keep streamers with me, and I have bought, like I could show you, looking right now up in my fly tying desk up here on my right, there is a stack of about 10 fly boxes up there, and I'd say at least 8 of them were got with the idea of being a streamer box, and they've all been unsuccessful after 2 or 3 months because of the size of the hook, because of the slots, whatever way it is. So, as regards a tackle talk, that was the one big thing I was going to get out of tonight. Was I'll finally get to hear someone's opinion on how the hell do we keep those streamers in the box without. So I know last week with Terry Phillips on, he gave some great tips about dry fly storage, and so you're working on a project right now at the moment, Keith, and
to get a really good fly box. The biggest difficulty with them is that they're all too shallow, so they squash all the head and squash all the fibers. And then they rust your hooks. So even if you're good about it and try and dry them out with the best will in the world, you end up with water in there. And
absolutely, because that material keeps the water in there, and then it's sipping out over. It's not like a dry fly or a wet fly. It dries out in a certain, a small piece of time. But some of the stuff that you're tying with all that material, the moisture that's still inside that could take nearly 24 hours or even longer to dry out.
Yeah. So the best fly box is just under the windscreen of your car. You just throw all the ones you've used and leave them dry.
Okay. That's a really good tip. That's a really good tip now.
Yeah. Because
I look forward to your project. So and I'll be your very first customer whenever you get that fly box out. I can tell you that, Keith, because that's something that has bugged me for a long time now. Yeah. And coming on here tonight, I said, no, I'm going to pick Keith's brain about fly boxes. That's really good to hear. So look, that's fantastic. Keith, what's your top tips? Anyone looking in tonight now that's got really excited about doing some early streamer fishing? I know some of the Cork rivers are open at the moment. There's a lot of water down there. Some guys are itching to get out. And definitely catching on the streamers is a possibility. I know there's a few guys out there during the week I was talking to them, and they were trying out a bit of streamer fishing and getting results on it straight away, which is great for early season fishing, So what kind of hot tips would you give the guys there looking to head out the next month or so?
Is to go out with absolute confidence in what you're doing. It really is. It's a head game to keep your mind focused.
You've got to believe that they're going to work.
You've got to believe it.
Okay.
And you've got to put the time in. It doesn't happen straight away. Now you get bumper days. You get days where every fish in the river wants to fly, and it's here and there.
Right.
But you've got to put the time in, and just stick it out. And we have big fish in our rivers, are bigger than average.
We have magnificent fish in our rivers, and we got so many rivers in Ireland. It's phenomenal.
And there's loads of exploring to be done. So it's about, just putting the time in and not treating it as an afterthought. Go out with the intention of trying to make something happen, rather than go and do some nymphing and do some dry fly and then as an afterthought pull the rusty elf
Yeah, that's the story of my streamer career, really. So yeah, definitely this year I'll hope to do a bit early season, and I'm going to leave the nymph bar. And I remember even when I started nymph fishing, and a few Polish guys were over here in Ireland and they were teaching me, and we would go out with the wet flies, like similar to that. You'd fish your wet flies, and then at the end, I'll throw a few nymphs, and you might get one or two. The Polish boys come over when I started really nymphing, and they said, "Leave the wet flies at home. It's the only way to do it. Leave them at home and go fishing." And you have to learn how to do it. So same hot tip there from Keith McDonald, guys. Leave the nymph boxes at home. Get them streamers out in those 7-weight rods, and go exploring your local rivers and different rivers this spring now and see what results we can get. Look, Keith, that's absolutely magnificent. Really appreciate you coming on here tonight and giving us all that information. I know you're an app guy qualified coach. Anybody who's looking for any casting lessons in around Keith's area, please look up his Facebook page there, Keith McDonald. Definitely get a look at some of the magnificent fish he managed to get. They're absolutely stunning creatures. We're very lucky to have them here in Ireland, and long may we have them. So, and of course, everybody watches Spake. Keith McDonald is going to come up with an innovative fly box at some stage in the future, and we're all going to sew in behind you, Keith, and we'll all have lovely full streamer boxes of streamers in time to come. So, Keith, once again, thanks so much. It's an absolute pleasure talking to you. And good night, and sure, safe fishing on the river this year. And please God, we'll get to meet up at some stage.
Yeah, would love that. Yeah, many thanks, Peter. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Keith.
Cheers. Recording.
So there we have it, folks. Wow, that was very interesting indeed. See, a lot of you were very appreciative of that interview. That was Keith McDonald up there from Dublin, giving us a bit of an insight into his explorations and experience of streamer fishing. Super huge thanks to Keith for sharing all that information. It's fantastic. Hope you all were able to take something out of that. I know I certainly did anyway. And enjoyed even watching it going back again. Absolutely, Patrick Phelan said he's going to go back and watch it. Last night I watched it twice, and I just watched it there now, and I'm going to probably watch it again, just take some more notes. But super huge thanks to Keith. Great that we have guys in this country that will come on and share that kind of information and give insights into stuff like that. So glad everyone got something out of it, and brilliant, super huge. Don't forget, stay tuned. Keith's going to be up in a little while tying one of his streamer patterns, which is another fantastic watch. So don't go anywhere. We're here for another while, folks. If you haven't got a cold one in front of you or a hot cup of tea, pour yourself one. We got some more flights coming up, Dave. I think you have an old trivia coming up there now shortly as well. So keep an eye out for that one there, folks. And in the meantime, I'm going to do another little bit of time here. So don't forget, Keith's got some exciting stuff coming up very soon this season. Hopefully, if all goes well for him, and it's very important we support someone that's trying to get something off the ground. So Keith, when you do get up and running, give me a shout and I'll do all I can to support you. And I know everybody on here in this great group we have going here every Saturday night will do the same. So Dave has just put up a little thing there saying that his question is coming soon. So keep an eye on that. In the meantime, I'm going to try as another one of my streamer patterns that I've managed to get a few fish on. I see Graham Lonigan was on there and he had a great idea of carrying a roses tin. For streamers, you certainly wouldn't lose them anyway, Graham. You'd see them floating off out to Wales if you dropped that box. But thanks for that bit of good man, Graham. But if you're around tonight, folks, say hi, come in, have a comment, say hello, and don't forget to share the old stream. Right, we're going to move on, and we're going to tell you another streamer pattern. This one is based on a streamer that was given to me by a very good Polish friend of mine. Some of you would know him, Harnish. Harnish was over here a good few times with us, and he used to do a bit of streamer fishing with me back in the day, way back in the early noughties. And this is one of his kind of stream, a little take on it now, just a take on it. Not very, some of these, I actually have the original downstairs. I probably should have found it. I might try and find the original. I keep all those original flies, but I have the original downstairs somewhere. I can find it when Keith's on doing his fly in a little while. Okay, so in here I've got a size 6 streamer hook by Dahaku, and I've got a cone head on it. Okay, I am going to start off and attach a bit of Kevlar to that hook there. Arthur Windrum's on there and he's saying a salmon tube fly box is good for streamers and probably would work all right too. Yeah, Robbie, I'm the same. You know, an awful lot of the time my fish streamers will either straight across and rip it across the river or down across like a wet fly. And, you know, and I've had not great success, but I've had success on it. You know, to hear Keith talking about, you know, never, you know, not never, but he said there is occasions where he would. But, you know, majority of his fishing is upstream is certainly interesting and it's really got me excited. It really got me excited about the new season coming and what experimentation I'm going to be doing with my streamers. So great, fantastic to get that kind of information. So I'm just trimming up a bit of microglint here. And I've basically cut off a couple of foot of it and I'm just going to double it, treble it, quadruple it up. As Keith was saying, you know, a couple of key components about our flies there, and I was mentioning it before as well, is the movement. You know, you got to make sure there's movement in that. And I've mentioned, you know, when we were doing dabblers and stuff like that before and other streamers, you know, microglint is a lovely soft material. Once you got it kind of cut up like that, I would then run it through the finger and thumb to break it down even a little bit more to get it really supple and, you know, be very effective there for movement. Yes, Alan Crawford, I have. Alan's asking if I've ever fished streamers on a urine infant rig. I have. And in some of our previous shows, Alan, thanks, Peter. Peter O'Connell is watching there. In some of our previous show, Alan, I did some. So once I've got that kind of broken down a bit, you can see how softer it gets. It's far more fractioned. But in some of our previous shows, we did two, I think. Well, I know I definitely did one. Jig streamer. So we tied them on jig hooks, jig streamers, 4mm beads, 3.5mm beads, heavy stuff like that. And just going to double that back over once it's well trapped in, folks. And it can be very effective, yeah. And again, once it's in there, you can see them stroking out. You can see the way that starts to break up a bit. It's not very risky. If you put crystal flash or anything like that in there, I find it can, you know, especially crystal flash, the likes of, I brought up a bit to show you, just so you know what I mean when I'm talking. I brought a bit up and I can't even put my hand on it right now. That kind of stuff, you know, that kind of crystal flash. I find that. So I think Dave has asked his question. I didn't catch that one. I was kind of trying to fly, but Dave has asked his question. So best of luck to everybody. The winner, we have a little spot prize there for the winner. And Dave, you keep an eye on that and let me know once we've got a winner. So okay, so once I've got that tied in, I'm then going to add in some monofilament. Now this is quite fine monofilament. It's only 0.12. I don't want any heavier because I don't want it to take away from the body I'm going to make in this fly. So tie it well up the hook. Trap it in really well. The last thing you want to do is when it comes time to use that monofilament for it to pull out. So really give it a good lash in there. Now for my body, I've got some real nice classic stuff here. Purcell's silk floss, 1 gram of it, and this is a goldeny olivey kind of color. Lovely, lovely color. Lovely floss to use for body, especially on a big fly like this because it's quite heavy as well. So you can achieve that. Actually, just before I tie that in, I need to tie in some Uni French Oval Gold for a rib. Lash that in there as well. And then take in our Purcell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double this up just to make it a little bit quicker. Normally I'd go up, come down, but I'm going to double it up so we don't have to tie it in the full length of the body, of course. come back down the hook. Lash it in good and tight. Dave Egan has reckoned that there should be VAR needed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my floss and tie it up that body. I want a nice chunky body on it. A little bit of meat on it, as they say. I would even get away with it being a bit chunky on that, but that's okay. I'm happy enough with that. Now I also tie this fly without a cone head. Again, a bit of my experience for what it's worth is that sometimes when I'm fishing flies down and across streamers down and across, is that an unweighted fly will take that little bit. Will catch those microcurrents an awful lot more than something that's weighted heavy and sitting down into the water. As such, sometimes I find the weight just take a little bit of the flicker out of it down across the stream. So I will tie this also without a. I'm just going to lash on some nice rabbit sunker and so wet up that first strip. Then I can take my. Oh, I actually slipped one part there, so I have to go back a bit. That's the best thing with these live shows is that if you make a mistake, you have to face up to it. I forgot to put in my rib. Rib goes in first. Make sure you don't do what I'm doing right now is ribbing up the monofilament. Keep the mono there. That's used to rib up that body with your gold. Any winner of that, Dave? I think maybe I see Joe Quinn says, good man, Dick. Did Dick Conlon win that prize? If you did, is Dick Conlon our winner, Dave? So, thanks, Dennis Golan. Dennis Golan's on with us again tonight. How you doing, Dennis? I hope you're having a good Saturday night. Are you at home or in work? So now I can go back and get on my. Did we have a winner to the quiz? Not 100% sure. But anyway, if there was a winner, or if there hasn't been a winner picked yet, we got these lovely new buffs, these lovely new trout skin buffs in our shop there during the week. Dave Cullen, Dex Conlon, good man. Congratulations, Dex. I'll get that lovely buff out to you in the post there. Thanks, Christy Hayden. Send us on whatever you need there, and I'll get it out to you straight away. I'll get one of those lovely buffs off in the post to you, Declan, there Monday morning. Keep you nice and cozy, heading out there in the river or the lake whenever you get out. Now I'm going to take my mono rib and I'm going to secure that zonker into place. And the reason why we moisten up that fur is just makes it easier to get the mono in through as we work our way up along. If it gets a little bit fluffy again, you can just moisten it again. It makes it much easier to split it as you work your way up. Keeping good pressure on that monofilament all the time to make sure that zonker is well attached to the top of that fly. Till you get up to the top. Hold on to that monofilament, don't let it go. It'll get loose and you could end up completing the fly and then realise that monofilament rib's actually loose. Once I've got 3 or 4 wraps over, put the pressure back on the tray, take the pressure off the monofilament, couple of more turns, loop that monofilament back and secure it in very well, heading back down the hook. So it's kind of looped around in those thread turns. Dave O'Donovan reckons Dick Conlon, he can try. Hey, and you know what? I say of all the beats in the Thomastown competition, Ken Woodward, sorry about that, Ken. For once, Ken knew the answer to that quiz, Dave, and he missed it because he was too busy watching me tying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back that zonker I always leave it long and then cut it back when I actually got the fly. Okay. So as you can see, it's quite, I'll just give you a little shot there of that, the length of that tail. And I'll back it up a little bit here so you can get a visual of it. So I got about roughly about a 4-inch zonker out of the back of that. Okay. Next thing I'll do is go back to my microglint. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Orca Wells. You have to be able to multitask, Ken. You have to be able to multitask at this game to win the prize and keep an eye. So again, just doing the same as what I did with the tail, folks. Doubling, quadrupling up the microglint. Cutting it down. Both ends. And into a V point at the back. Dick, we all have those bad days. God knows I've had plenty of bad days in tournaments. You know, plenty of them, of where I didn't catch. You know, unexpectedly. You did well. You look at you did your best, and that's all you can do. It's, you know, A2 in September was, you know, if it was June or July, it would have been a different beat. You know, it didn't fish that great. There was a drop of water in the river. So again, just breaking it up and going to lash that in there onto either side. I'm just going to tease out a few ends either side to extend the length of it. Get rid of that unnatural cut. Not going back the full length of the minky's anchor, the rabbit's anchor, but going back most of kind of 3/4 of the way. The tail picks up the rest of the flash then. And it's lovely and soft. That'll get in there with the, that'll get lovely mixed in there with the zonker as you're fishing it. That offers no restriction whatsoever to that zonker. And as you can see there now, it'll get, you know, it'll give it a lovely subtle kind of bit of flash. And as Keith was mentioned there, you know, movement is crucial here. So very important aspect of this fly is that as well. Now we're going to put on a little bit of a muddler collar onto this. Yeah, the Gunfress, what a fly. Ken Woodward there, guys from British Columbia, is talking about a Gunfress, which is the larvae stage of a dragonfly. It is, yeah, when we fished BC last year, 2 years ago now, I think, is it, Ken? The Gunfress was an amazing fly to discover. I know Dad has actually fished that over here. Dad has fished that over here in Ireland, has got some fish in it. So basically, I'm using my zonker there, as I've used before for doing the deer hairs. Put it in my clip, and I'm going to trim out a very generous lump of deer hair. A lot more than we put on the collar of you can see it there, quite a generous helping of deer hair. And going to create a dubbing brush there with that deer hair. So as usual, splitter Kevlar. A bit longer than usual. And I'm going to lash that deer hair in there. Slide it out of the clip. Make sure you have good tension on it so you don't drop too much of it. Drop a little bit of it, but not too much. Hold on to that. You can't see the visual here now, but hold on to it. 2 years ago, Ken, wow, imagine that. How time flies. But hold on to the thread just below the deer hair with one hand and one with your thumb and finger. Keep the tension on that, because otherwise that deer hair will just fall out and you'll be just going to get the hoover to pick it all up and start spinning. There's quite a lot of deer hair in there, so it's going to take a few moments just to spin that up and get it good and tight. Once you start spinning a little bit, you can release it a little bit, and you see then it will start getting a little bit of a the panic is kind of over at that stage then, that you're not going to lose a whole heap of deer hair once you start on a little bit of a spin on it. Work your deer hair with your right hand just to make sure it's teased out nice and even across, and we start getting a spin on it. So anyone that's been out there, has been out fishing there over the last couple of weeks there, or few days, should I say, over the last week, how has the fishing been? Any top secrets there that's working patterns wise or anything like that? How has it been for the rest of us people that have to sitting at home and watch your Facebook posts of how you're getting out to fish lovely rivers. The rest of us are stuck until March. March 17th, we are here on Kilkenny before our trout season's opens up. Really looking forward to it. Even though we'll still be in lockdown, but I'm lucky enough to live within 5 kilometres of the river. I think the restrictions were about 500 yards. I'd still make it. So really looking forward to get out. The river's going to be big, and the River Nore that time of year. So you can see the brush now I've created there. The River Nore is going to be quite heavy and high that time of year. It's normally not somewhere I tend to go that early in the season, but I think this year I'm going to have no choice. Now I'm going to lash that in. As I lash it in, stroke it all back and get it all up in behind that cone head. It's getting fairly tight in there now, so you're going to have to work your hands to get it all well compact and make sure it's in there behind that, just like so. Dennis Cooling, so it's a 2 mil strip. It's basically roughly around a 2 mil strip. You can see it there. I just have full skins and I just strip them down with a Stanley blade. 2 mil. Thanks, Michael. Michael Scully's been out there a few times, guys, and he's had good. Thanks, Sean, for that there as well, Sharon. You can all see what the boys are talking about there, patterns. So a little bit finishing behind that. Again, give it a good tug. Everyone's nicely secured in there. And then I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. Just using the cone head as a guide. Trimming off all those kind of natural, the cuts that we made, leaving a lot of the natural kind of tip ends on the inside of that muddler head. Take your time trimming, don't be in a rush. I always like to trim the bottom, the underside, a little bit more than I will the top and side, as you'll see now in a second what I'm going to do. I tend to cut that right in there. I want to expose that underbody a good bit. One thing about deer hair, it makes a nice mess. So I'll get in there now and I'll cut out an extra bit from the under body of that fly. Just leave a couple of the tip sections there, so you don't have and that's it right there. Another little bit of trimming on this side. That's probably as big as I go in any of my streamer fishing. Quite big. To Kevin, you could replace that deer hair with a hackle if you wish. I'm going to stop moving now for a second just to let you see kind of the look of that fly. But you can replace the deer hair with a hackle if you want. I often tie that fly as well with just a deer hair muddler head and no cone on it either. Like fuzzy fibre, you could absolutely, Kevin. No, Kevin Summers there, guys. He's on there at the moment. Kevin's from Kildare, and he's big into his streamer fishing too. And I've seen actually some beautiful streamers on your Facebook page there recently. Yeah, Peter Connor, I will. I've seen some beautiful lovely streamer pattern on your Facebook page. Kevin, thanks for sharing that. And I think I might tie a couple of them for myself for the start of the season. Knocknagree, Thomas Ankertel is saying Knocknagree. Thanks, Tom Martin. That is a streamer pattern that has worked quite well. Probably one of the bigger ones I would fish throughout the season. You can see it's got a bit of length into it. Nice natural colours about it. Doesn't really, it's natural enough. Not overcomplicated to tie. A little bit of sparkle there for the from the microglint, teased it out. Lovely soft streamer, will move really well in the water. And so you can tie that in multitude of colours and stuff like that. As you can see, it has a nice natural look about it. A little bit of deer hair will create a bit of noise too, which is a good help as well. So hope you've enjoyed that one, and hope you all have a bit of success with that one. That's one I'm going to have in the box now. I'm going to have a couple of those in the box from Paddy's Day. I'll be swinging them across the River Nore and see if I can catch me a trout. But there we have it. There's another one of my streamer pattern, folks. Don't forget, there will be a prize up tomorrow morning at some stage. There will be a prize tomorrow morning. Someone I will ask a random question based on tonight. Thanks, Peter Connolly. Eddie Curry, I've never added eyes. Quite on. Thanks, Ray McCabe. Thanks, John Shaw. I've never added eyes, but you know what? It's something that you certainly could. But look, there's a man coming on here now. He was on with us a while ago there, Keith McDonald, and he's going to tie one of these articulated streamers, which is going to be, which I've seen it is a fantastic watch. So I'll be back with another streamer pattern straight after this. But enjoy Keith McDonald tying one of his favorite articulated streamer patterns, and I'll see you all real soon. Once I press all my buttons here.
Hi guys, I'm going to tie an articulated streamer pattern that I use an awful lot, a very effective fly called the bottle of gas for the explosive takes. It's essentially a zonker strip, some flash and a weighted head, and articulated meaning that we're using two hooks. The two hooks are a good advantage in terms of trying to hook these bigger fish. They can be difficult to get hook penetration, and also it gives you length without having a really long shank. So I'm using Gamakatsu F314 hooks. You'll find them often in the sea fishing section. A lot of Irish tackle shops have them, and they're actually a fly hook, and they're really good for this sort of fishing. The American equivalent is the Gamakatsu B10S. So the back one is a size 4. We fix it into the vise. Ordinarily I would use a GSP 100 thread, but I'm out at the moment, so I'm on Vivus 50, which is, it breaks much easier, so you can have a good old giggle when I break my thread, because chances are it's going to happen. So you catch in the thread. I'm just going to get the tension right here and run it back until we're in line with the barb of the hook. Okay. First material is zonker, and we want about 1.5 to 2 times the length of the hook shank, and then we split, and it helps if you just moisten the fibre, the fur, in order to push it out of the way and catch it in just at that point. Nice tight turns, and then I'm going to just lock that in by pushing in against the hide on the front. So that's the tail in. Next job then is we're going to make a dubbing loop. Sorry, we're not going to make a dubbing loop quite yet. We're going to put in some cactus chenille, so this sort of chenille. Just tie that down. Tidy up. Okay, so next is our dubbing loop. So we're just doubling over the thread, going back around the hook shank and just lock it in. And we head for the eye of the hook. I just put a half hitch in. And I'm using my gallows tool just to keep that out of the way.
really important streamer fly tyers tool is a dubbing spinner, one of these guys. It's useful for all fly tying really, but particularly for this stuff. So I've got some flash dubbing. I take a good pinch of that, and I want to line up the fibres. So I'm just pulling apart, laying them on top of each other so that I have length like so, and I pop that into my loop. And I'm just going to taper that a little bit so that it's thinner at the back of the fly. Just tidy up a little bit, that sort of thing. And then the fun bit, I can spin that up. Okay, so next job then is to keep these materials out of the way. I had some nice hair clips doing that job, but they've broken on me, so this is where we're at. It's a nice buggy body. I'll move the gallows back out of the way. Just a half hitch for safekeeping, and then clip out the bit that I don't need. Okay, and then I want to put a little bit of this olive chenille through the dubbing. And just catch that down. Tidy up. We need to leave a little bit of space because we've got that zonker strip to catch in. Next job then is to get a piece of Velcro. I like to keep these sticky Velcro strips and attach them to pens and combs and that sort of thing. And just pull out that dubbing that we went to the effort of making the loop for, so that you've got a nice buggy body like so. And we bring our wing across. Catch that in. Lock it down and then just snip out the excess. Tidy up. And then optionally you can add some rubber legs, some crazy legs. I like the look of them, but sometimes when you're fishing the profile can look a bit big, so you can pinch them out easily enough if you need to. As I say, not a requirement. So I'm going to fold those in half roughly. Separate them, pop them in, a couple of turns, and then one leg on your near side and one leg around to the far side, push them back, and a couple of turns on top. So that's the back hook done. I don't like the legs to extend beyond the tail of the fly, so very often just about halfway down the tail of the fly I'll nip them. So something like that. Get a little bit of vibration. Okay, and I'll just do a couple of half hitches. You can super glue that. So that's that, and we can put that aside for a moment. So the front hook then, we're going up to a size 2, same hook, F314 Gamakatsu. Fix it into the vise and catch in our thread. And we want to leave as a marker, because we're going to put a bait fish head in, we want to just come back a little bit just as a reference so that we don't pack up the eye with material. Just keep it back to allow space for that head to slide on, because the head is going to slide on after the fact. As before, down in line with the barb, snip that out, and the next thing then is use 30-pound pike wire and a snips. Don't use your scissors on this stuff. It's a multi-strand wire. I thread my back hook on and fold over like so, and I need a couple of beads. The beads serve to help keep the fly folding over and getting caught up on itself. It's part of the thing though, you will get them caught up on themselves regardless, but it does help. So I've got everything lined up there. I'm going to catch it in on the side. Just a couple of turns to sit it there and make sure that I'm happy so that the wire is sitting vertically in line with the bend of the hook, and once I'm happy, I've got a bead width or slightly more there so that the back hook is free to rotate and move, and then tight touch and turns. And as you go, you can just correct the wire because it'll have a tendency to roll forward over the hook shank, and we want to keep it aligned with the hook shank. So I'm putting a good bit of pressure on there, and once I get near to where I've marked with my thread, I'm going to just put a couple of secure turns to lock that in place and use my thumbnail just to push that wire back, and then I can come in with my thread and secure that. So tight touch and turns then. Make sure that it's secure. We're going to glue it as well, just for reinforcement. So I've got a tag end there that I want to snip out. I use my snips. And these little ends can be tricky to negotiate with your thread, so if you just go loosely on them, and hopefully they won't cut my thread. Once you've gone over them, then we can tighten down once again. Life is good, I haven't broken the thread. Okay, so a little bit of super glue just to secure that. Ordinarily I'd leave it to dry, but I won't keep you waiting. So I need my next piece of zonker. I'm just going to put a V into the tail there. like so. And the tail then in this case can just extend across the rear hook like so. And again, I find the point that I want to tie down, push those fibres in front out of the way, and then catch that in. Looking good. And then lock it in front there. So, and it's essentially just repeating the back hook. So I've got my chenille, tidy up, and my dubbing loop. To the front and drop my half hitch on, suspend my thread, dubbing spinner, good pinch of dubbing, align the fibres. There's a natural taper there, so I flipped it up. That looks good. And then spin. Just pick a little bit out. Now, I get my underbody in. That's me. I don't want to go too far because I've got to get the zonker in and the head. So just catch that down. Snip out the bit I don't need. And then a few turns of my chenille. Some fibres cut in there, so I pull them out. So, half hitch in for security because I'm going at it with the Velcro again. I pick out that dubbing. Looks good. Bring my zonker across. Catch that in. And then come in front just to lock it. So, 2 more rubber legs. Just tidy up there. That's it. Just separate the ends of the legs and halfway point. Couple of turns. There goes a leg. Get another one. Near side. Far side. And lock them in. So that's all the tying done now. Again, I clip the legs a bit. And we're going to put our head in, so I'm using these Flyman fish skulls. These guys, there's a downside, a little bit of a belly in them. That's what kills the fly. So we put super glue directly onto the head, like so, and we shove the eye, or shove the head straight on. Make sure that it's lined up in the center. Looks good. They come with eyes, so you can put eyes on, but at the moment I like this stuff, a Gulf resin. It's tack free resin, it's quite good. So I just put a squirt of that into the trough, let it just settle. If you get any bubbles, you can get your bodkin, just pop it over on. Sit and take my UV torch and cure that. And same again on the other side. Big bubble. Zap it with, I've got another little bubble in there. Get it out. Not that it matters, but just for the sake of it. And if you wanted, you could put a squirt of it into the front. There's a little cavity there. But that is the bottle of gas in olive. Nice little pattern, a bit of flash and an awful lot of movement. Got that back hook moving beautifully. So thanks for watching. I hope that helps. Cheers.
Forgot to turn on the sound there, folks, just to keep you all awake. Make sure you're all still up there tonight. Wow, thanks a million, Keith McDonald. Fantastic time there on that articulated streamer. Not something that I've done a lot myself. up to now. It is something I'm going to change after having some great conversations with Keith over the last couple of days. Super huge thanks to Keith for sharing that information and that tie-in skill. Fantastic. Yeah, definitely a lot of tying in that one, guys. Some good comments there. I think Declan Smith's on his way out to buy a few chickens in Super Value. And if anyone has any canaries, Jimmy Gibson is looking for a few canaries there, lads. It works. The proof is there. It does work. And streamer fishing is something that we're going to have to is definitely improve on. I know it's something I'm going to have to improve on an awful lot this season, but we have an opportunity to do it, guys and girls. We don't have anywhere to go. There's no competition, so no excuses this year. Thanks, Davey. Davey says, "Now we know I farmed that one out." Absolutely. But it's I've tied them before. It's just not something I've ever really used. When I'm going abroad, if I'm going to Slovenia or if I'm going to Italy or Czech Republic or somewhere like that on a fishing trip, the streamer kit is one of the first kits that goes into my bag. But unfortunately in Ireland, I just haven't given enough time. Exactly what Keith is saying. It's something I do after I nymph. Give it a few minutes, get a couple of fish. It's something that we have to work on, and it is very effective. Keith's proved that over the years, and it is very effective. So well done, Keith. Super huge thanks once again. Don't forget, everybody, Keith's got something big coming up in the pipeline this year in relation to streamer fishing and some gear and stuff. So when that comes, keep an eye out in the space. When it comes, it's we'll all get behind him and support it. He's a great guy. He's innovative, and we need to support our own. So keep an eye out for that one. I can see actually Ken Woodward, and I see Dave saying, "Right now we understand why he's saying what he said in his interview with Tackle Talk, that why he used a 16-pound to 20-pound breaking strain." I certainly would be going swimming after that one, Andrew Naylor, as well, if I tied a box of them. But anyway, going to try another one of my little streamers. This thing is like a midge compared to Keith's, but it has been effective for me as well. And gonna tie it up for you here now. It's more of an olivey kind of streamer. This is one that I actually used in the World Championships in Czech Republic back in 2014. I think it was Eugene Fagan. Eugene Fagan was there on that team. Albert Mulhall, myself, Michael Tuig, Tom Carroll. Who else was on that team with us, Eugene? But anyway, this is one that I used in that championships as well. And found it quite good. I've used it at home since, and it's been good and effective too. I've made a few little adjustments to it since the World Championships, but it's a good one. Again, I'm searching for those 8 to 10 to 12 inch trout, and tend to keep them a little bit on the lighter side than that articulator. So I have a little bit of holographic tinsel here. And it's a bit curly on me, as you can see. It curls up a little bit. So I kind of moisten it up and keep it wet for a moment till I get it tied in there. It goes in there first. So I hope everyone's enjoying the streamer night. Picking up plenty of tips. So if anybody has any comments or anything, shoot them across there. We're here for another few minutes till we get this fly done. And now we're going to have a bit of golden olive, marabou here. I'm going to take off a lump of that one. See, my fingers were a little bit moist. I'd wet the fingers first, and then I kind of massage the marabou a little bit rather than wetting it completely. I'm going to put that in there. Back of that. Lash it in. Trim it off. Up around the bead. By the way, this is a size 10 WSL Dahaku barbless hook in the vise, and I got a 3 mils countersunk tungsten bead up on it. Okay, lashed it in, tied in well, and then we're going to move on to our body. I got a pearl rib on this one. I think we're in for a week of pretty much crappy weather too. I think there's more rain to come in over the next 2 days. Rain and wind, so we've all got lots of time for tying streamers. Yeah, Pat McCarthy is size 22 compared to Keith's tying there. It's a size 22. This is my mix of hare's ear here with 10 other components probably mixed into it. You can see there's plenty of colour in that. We got plenty of time now this week, folks, to be tying up some cracking streamer patterns in anticipation of those rivers dropping a bit. Restrictions may be lifting a little. Well, no, they're not. They're not going to lift. I'm not even going to hope for it. But I think, you know, if you have a river within 5 kilometers come March, we might be able to get out and do a little bit of fishing. Going to put in a nice beefy kind of body on that one there. I'm going to take my rib it around. Thanks, Robert. Robert Flaherty's saying good night. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Robert. Hope everybody's enjoying the night. It's nice to bring something different. You know, that's what I like to do. You know, the show has kind of grown an awful lot. And thanks to all you folks, it's not just myself, but thanks to all you guys, if you and girls, if you weren't watching and contributing, certainly wouldn't give me as much motivation to try and bring something new to you every week. But you know, the show starts to get planned in around Tuesday, and we work on it all week to kind of, you know, see who's willing to come on and do some. We got some great videos being sent to us by other guys we're going to be using in our next couple of shows. We are here till Paddy's weekend, and then we're going to be going off air for Saturday Night Live, unfortunately, folks, because season's in, you know, evenings get a little bit longer. People are out fishing and stuff like that. And I'm going to just drop that camera down a bit so you can get a good look at this one. Voice actually just dropped a little bit there as well. But evenings get a bit longer and stuff like that, so we won't be doing as many live shows. There will be some. I will do some along the way on an old wet Saturday night or something like that when there's nothing else happening, or if we go into a major lockdown again, please God, we won't. But you know, we will be taking a little break. We will be back, of course, again in the end of September once the season's over and things just calm down a little bit with fishing and guiding and all that kind of stuff. We will be back for a whole another winter live fly tying session that will run right through next winter. And make sure you all stay tuned for that one. That one will be coming up, and I'm sure we'll have managed to make a few improvements and rope in another few guest hires to come in with us and do a few sessions. Going to add in a couple of legs onto this one. Seeing Keith use those little barred silly legs there. I'm using a little bit of perfect rubber for this one. This is olive perfect rubber. Well, we'll post some YouTube videos throughout the season. We might, you know, as I said before, we will do some live stuff from the river. We might, you know, as we spent all winter here talking about fly tying and approaches to stuff like that. So just to put the finishing touch to it, I think, you know, come into, you know, in around kind of heading into the summer months, we will do a couple of live shows from the actual riverbank where you'll actually see, rather than kind of pre-recorded stuff, it'll be live because, you know, I want to show you know, things that can go wrong as well in a moment. Like, you know, it's easy to do a live video or a stream of a video, or say make a video and then edit it and put it up on YouTube. So we might do some live sessions from the actual river when it comes and see kind of the problems that we can run into. And I run into plenty of problems when I'm on the river, believe you me. So if nothing else, it'll be a nice comical watch. Got it a bit of a darker marabou here now, and I'm going to tie that directly over on top, right down to the full length of the tail. Just mind those legs don't get trapped forward. A couple of turns in there to trap that in. And make sure you don't cut off a leg either. Trim it off. Hold everything back and get a couple of good wraps in there. Make sure everything's well secured. Now what I do is go back to my dubbin. Good man, Luca. Luca's off the smokes. 20 days today. Fair play to you, Luca. Fair play to you. Keep it up. Another pinch of dubbin. Lashing onto that there. A bit too much for a moment. Hold everything back out of the way. Lash on a nice belted dubbin there. I can put it back on that other piece. piece now. It's not Kieran. There's a bit of work goes into it now, alright, compared to when we were first doing it, but it's worth it. You know, I really get a lot from these shows, get a lot from Saturday night. And the feedback does be fantastic, and the support we get does be fantastic. Once we got that tied in, I want to really brush out that collar, that Dublin collar, to get it come back in, to marry into the body, and to marry into that wing as well. Don't forget, tomorrow morning I will post a question. Nice simple question. Won't be as complicated as Dave's on Dave or Graham Lanigan, but I will post a question tomorrow morning based on tonight's show. The winner of that will receive tonight's flies. Now, not only do I see Keith's on there, guys, as well. Thanks a million, Keith. The fastest he's ever tied his life. That was 22 minutes long, Keith. That it took you 22 minutes to tie that fly, would you believe? Very good, brilliant. Thanks a million for that, Keith. That was fantastic. But Keith is going to send me on that articulated streamer. And not only are you going to win the couple of flies I tied tonight, but you're going to win that articulated streamer. So tomorrow morning, be up early, folks. Be on Facebook and be ready. I'm going to ask a very simple question, and whoever gets it right will win all tonight's flies, including Keith's articulated streamer. So if you want that one, do by all means be up in the morning and be ready for it. So there we have it. That's my little olive streamer. Plenty of movement in it. Nice two-tone colour up on the marabou. And it's definitely worth a swim. I pick that back up there now. And get a proper look at it in the pliers. Get all the crap off that's on the floor. Deer hair. But it's a good little streamer. I find it very effective, and has nice colour tones to it, and it's definitely one that you can have tied up in small sizes like that one, or in a larger size. It's kind of not really coming back together for me now the way it should, but lots of movement in it, lots of wiggling those tails, and it's one for the new season, for filling those streamer boxes. So there we have it, folks. I'm going to leave it there. We've gone on till 20 past 10. Dave Donovan has a question there for you, Keith. If you're still there, what would you use for 10 to 8 inch trout? So Dave is a bit like myself. You know, we're competition anglers. We like them. We don't chase the bigger guys just yet. We still like the handier fish. But Keith will get back to you there. Look, anyway, folks, there we have it for tonight. Thanks a million, everybody, for watching. Huge thanks to Keith McDonald for those 2 contributions tonight. Thanks a million, Keith. Fantastic. Hope everyone enjoyed Streamer Night. We will be back live next Saturday night with another great show, guest hires and tackle talk on another topic. So stay tuned. Watch out during the week for you'll get some idea what we're going to do. Huge thanks to everyone's support for during the week. If you are looking for any fly tying or fly fishing gear, check out www.scaryfly.com. Our shop is online. We deliver all over the country and the world, indeed. And if there's anything you ever need or any questions you ever have, please pick up the phone, give us a ring, send us a message, drop us an email, and we'll get back to you as fast as we can. Whatever information you might need. If we have it, we'll give it to you. If we don't, we'll put you in touch with the right person. So please feel free. And don't be shy to give us a shout during the week. We love having the old chat here at Pescari Flies. So good night to you all. Thanks a million again. And everybody that's going to be watching on YouTube tomorrow, this video will be up on YouTube tomorrow. Hi to everybody watching on YouTube. I meant to give you a shout out at the start of the video. I keep forgetting about this. We do get great viewership on a Sunday as well. So it'll be up on YouTube tomorrow. Anybody that wants to watch it back. And good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And talk to you all next week.